Oh, hi. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Erica Dorset. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do some freezer meals in a snap. So, the first thing about freezer meals are obviously the benefits of it. So, I'm a busy mom. You might be a busy mom. And sometimes we just don't feel like cooking. So, to relieve that issue, I like to do some freezer meals that I can put in the freezer, and then if I just don't feel like cooking, I just pull it out, heat it up, and it's ready to go. Give or take, I do about 10 a month. If you do at least 2 of them a week, prep them and get them ready and put them in the freezer. By the end of the month, you should have 8 to 10 meals a month that's ready and prepped for the month. And so you can choose basically 2 days out of the week to pull those freezer meals out and cook them. And they're great for if your child is into sports and they're playing and they have a busy lifestyle and you have to go to the games and when you get home it's late, or if you have an appointment that's late, these freezer meals are going to be wonderful for those days. How I store them is I take a gallon bag that looks just like this, and then I just stack them. You want to stack them flat, and you can stack like up to 10 of them um, on top of each other. I highly recommend you put some type of parchment paper in between the bags because you don't want all your hard work to go out of waste because there's a hole ripped or whatever in them and you pull them apart. So I highly recommend if you're stacking them to put a parchment paper on the top so that you can get multiple freezer meals in one stack. So that's the first tip. Second tip is prepping them. Usually, if you prep all the things like your vegetables and things that you need to get done for the first half of the hour and put them all into the bags for the next hour, half of an hour, then you should be ready to go. And you should be able to get 10 meals done in an hour or less. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm cooking turkey and then cooking the turkey because I'm going to be doing African sweet potato stew. And for that recipe, obviously, you're going to need some type of meat. And so I chose to use turkey. And that's what the recipe calls for as well. Now, if you have a pound of meat and the recipe calls for a half a pound, what you can do is cook it all at once and then freeze the other half. And then you can put it into another bag for another meal at another time. So that's what I did because it came with a pound and the recipe only needs a half a pound. Okay, so I'm going to finish this meal. So it says to cook the turkey, which I pretty much have already done. And so now it says to stir in the seasoning. So I'm going to stir in the seasoning. And this seasoning is from Epicure. And I usually use my freezer meals are usually my Epicure meals because they're so easy to do. And then I don't have to worry about figuring out what kind of recipes I want to use. Okay, so I just take the seasoning and oh my gosh, that smells amazing. I'm going to pour it into my meat. It smells so good. Oh wow. And this has onion, garlic, spices, yeast, chive, sea salt, cayenne, and mustard. And it smells divine. It says also put in a can of diced tomatoes. And for your ear preference, I opened it up before, so you don't have to hear me opening it up the can opener because my can opener is pretty darn loud. So I saved you on that one. And let's see what else we need for it. We need 1 can of light coconut milk. I couldn't find light coconut milk, so I'm just going to use regular canned milk. It's not as healthy, but hey, it'll do. And this is a coconut milk from a Taste of Thai. Just got it at the grocery store. And so I'm going to pour that in there. Now, don't make the mistake I did prior. Do not buy the coconut milk that comes in a jug or in a liquid form, it does not taste the same. It's not as creamy and it doesn't taste as well. So definitely go for the canned coconut milk. It makes a big difference. You don't think it does, but it really does. So go for the canned coconut milk. It also says to add 1 cup of water or broth, cover and cook for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put this water in it. And yes, I pre-measured it. This little glass right here is convenient because it is exactly a cup. So I'm going to heat that up just a little bit more. And I'm just going to stir all this yumminess together. It smells so good. And so meals like these are awesome to freeze because they're quick and easy, especially like soups and stews and all that kind of stuff. Those are great to freeze. Now, I do not recommend you freeze anything that has any type of mayonnaise in it, any type of sour cream, because a lot of times with those, they tend to separate. So if you have a recipe that calls for any mayonnaise or sour cream, hold off on the sour cream and then just prep the rest of the meal. And then add the sour cream or mayonnaise when you're actually going to cook it because it doesn't freeze very well. So I'm just going to let this cook. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes because it says to cook it for 5 minutes. And I'm going to just let it do its thing. It smells so good. I wish the smell-o-vision was turned on for you guys because this smells amazing. And so with the freezer meals, things like this, you can make 2 meals at one time. So since you kind of know what ingredients you need, I could have, if I had thought about it, I could have bought 2 cans of the diced tomatoes, 2 cans of the canned milk, and obviously use another packet if I wanted to, because I already have another half a pound of, ground turkey. So that could be something I can add to my grocery list, and then I'll have basically 2 meals prepped and ready to go. But I can always order at a later time. But for now, I can always just freeze the turkey or put it in the refrigerator or put it on my list to make this weekend and then just freeze it. So I'll have 2 meals. So I'm just going to let this cook for about 5 minutes. Now, after the 5 minutes is done, it says stir in the sweet potatoes. So while that's cooking, let me grab the sweet potatoes because those are super duper important. That what makes the stew taste absolutely divine. So my sweet potatoes are right over here. And I believe it takes about the same amount of time to cook this stew as it is to put it in the microwave. So yes, it says microwave on high for 4 to 5 minutes. So perfect timing. So let me pop this bad boy in the microwave for 5 minutes. And I absolutely love steamers because all you gotta do is pop them in the microwave. You don't have to mess up a pot or anything like that. Just pop them in the microwave and they're good to go. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna continue to stir this. Make sure it's all seasoned very well. And then after this is done and the sweet potatoes are done, I have to add a half a cup of peanut butter. It says crunchy peanut butter, but I'm not a big fan of crunchy peanut butter. So I am going to use just regular Peter Pan creamy peanut butter. So while that is cooking, let me get my little cup ready, and I'm going to put half a cup of peanut butter in it. So that's ready to go for when we need it. Now let me grab a spoon. This should be exactly half a thing of peanut butter that's left in the jar because we eat a lot of peanut butter, as you can see. And so basically half of that measuring cup is a half of a cup. Mm. to make sure I hide peanut butter because my husband likes to put his fingers inside of the peanut butter. He calls it peanut butter fingers. I'm gonna put one more spoonful of peanut butter in there, and that should be exactly. And look at that. That's exactly half a cup of peanut butter. Worked out perfect. All right, so that is good. I'm gonna make sure. Or we could put a little bit more in there. Hey, more peanut butter the better. Can't go wrong with peanut butter unless you're allergic to nuts, of course. Now, if you're allergic to nuts, you can obviously substitute it for something else because we don't want you to get sick. That wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be a very good experience. So let me put the top of that on there. Let me just stir this on up. Oh, it smells so good. It smells amazing. I can't believe I'm making this all in a wok. I would never thought I would make stew in a wok, but hey, to each his own, I guess. All right, so we got about a minute and 52 seconds on the potatoes. That was the timer to let me know that it's been cooking for 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is to stir in the cooked sweet potatoes in half a cup of peanut butter. So let me stir in this peanut butter while the sweet potatoes continue to cook. By the time I stir all this in there and get all this peanut butter out, the potatoes should be about done. Now I may or may not lick the spoon because, I don't want this peanut butter to go to waste. There we go. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Now, got 31 seconds on the potatoes. And I'm just going to stir in this peanut butter, let it melt into the stew. And what the peanut butter is doing is making this stew a little bit thicker. It's also making it sweeter, which is perfectly fine with me. Because, the tomatoes are kind of sour in itself. Alright, those are the sweet potatoes. So let me pull that on out. Ooh, that's nice and steaming. Alright. I'm trying to get it so it doesn't burn me. That would not be a cool experience. It usually tells you what side you should pick up first. That doesn't really matter. Alright, so I'm just going to cut the top of this off. And then I'm just going to dump the sweet potatoes into our stew. And that is our last ingredient for African stew. It's called African sweet potato stew. I wonder why it's called African sweet potato stew. Because of all these potatoes. Yummy potatoes. Yes. I've never tried African potato stew, so this is going to be definitely an experience I will never forget. Because it's different, and that's what I love about some of the Epicure meals. Sometimes it allows you to be very creative and try some different things that you may or may not have tried before. to see if you like it, because we usually have the same stuff every day, and it's cool to have a different meal, you know, at least once or twice a week, just to kind of change it up. Because my kids are basically programmed to know that, hey, every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. So they know they don't even have to ask me on Tuesday what we're having, because it's always going to be tacos or some kind of form of either taco or burrito or something like that in that family. So it's pretty cool to change it up, to kind of open up our horizons as far as our taste buds and what we put in our bodies. So I'm going to just try a little bit of this stew and see how it tastes. See if my family would like it. So 1 second. Of course you gotta blow it because this is extremely hot. That is good. It's different, but it's very good, I must say. I might add a tad more salt to it, but hey, that's the bee's knees right there. And it's also got a little bit of spice to it at the end that I really, really like. But yeah, I'm going to add just a tad bit more salt to it. With Epicure meals, they kind of try to avoid a lot of salt. So if you are a person that likes salt, or likes a lot of seasoning, you're going to have to add some salt to your dish because of that. So they're basically trying to make sure it's a low sodium, a very healthy dish. But yeah, that is the bee's knees right there. I would have never put these ingredients together on my own. So to have that resource of having an African sweet potato stew is great. And this will be a good like side dish or whatever. Or we can just have this as a meal with something else, like maybe an actual sweet potato or maybe some vegetables on the side or something like that. But it's definitely going to be filling. And so I'm going to basically let this cool down at this point. And yeah, let me show you what it looks like. If I can get the camera on it to kind of show you. But yeah, that's what it looks like there. It looks super duper yummy. But yeah, that is the African sweet potato stew. And that is how you make freezer meals in a snap. All right. So if you like these videos and if you want to know some more information about freezer meals, I love making freezer meals. And so if you want to see more of all these amazing freezer meals that I'm going to be making, please like and subscribe this video, and so you don't miss a thing. All right, so this is Terica Dorset, and this was Freezer Meals in a Snap. All right, you guys take care and have a wonderful day.